This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
Cyclone Eloise batters Mozambique as more South African countries brace for heavy rains and flooding. A shot in the arm, WHO secures 40 million COVID-19 vaccine doses for poor and middle-income countries. And lawmakers in the Democratic Republic of Congo file a motion of no confidence in Prime Minister Sylvestre Ilunkamba. Hello and welcome to Africa Live on CGTN. I'm Mahia Mutua in Nairobi. Also coming up, in sports, IOC President Thomas Bach insists the delayed Tokyo 2020 Games will run as scheduled despite pandemic fears. We begin in southern Africa, where Cyclone Eloise has made landfall in central Mozambique. The World Meteorological Organization says the storm came with hurricane-force winds and heavy rain. Mozambique's Buzi district has been hardest hit by the cyclone. There are reports of heavy flooding and damage to property on the path of the cyclone. This comes less than 2 years after central Mozambique was hit by Cyclone Idai. That storm displaced thousands of residents and killed over 1,000 people across Mozambique, Malawi, and Zimbabwe. Lawmakers in the Democratic Republic of Congo have filed a motion of no confidence in Prime Minister Sylvestre Ilunkamba. The motion is part of President Felix Tshisekedi's move to force out a cabinet dominated by allies of his predecessor Joseph Kabila. CGTN's Chris Ochamringa has more now from Kinshasa.
More than 300 MPs signed the motion of no confidence in Prime Minister Sylvestre Ilunkamba. The motion gives the Prime Minister 48 hours to resign, failure to which he'll be voted out of office. One of the MPs told CGTN that the move is aimed at forcing the current government to collapse in order to hand President Felix Tshisekedi a majority in government. Mr. Ilunkamba is an ally of former DRC President Joseph Kabila, whose party had a majority in parliament after the 2018 elections. But last December, President Tshisekedi ended the ruling coalition he formed with Joseph Kabila and said he'll form a new political outfit known as the Sacred Union. He's already convinced some MPs from Kabila's coalition to join his camp. The president can only form his new political outfit once the prime minister resigns or gets a no-confidence vote. Chris Ochamringa, CGTN, Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo.
The World Health Organization says it has reached an agreement with Pfizer for 40 million doses of its vaccine against COVID-19. Poor and lower middle-income countries will receive the vaccine doses under the COVAX initiative starting February. The COVAX program is co-led by the World Health Organization and looks to ensure equitable distribution of COVID-19 vaccines.
Today, I'm glad to announce that COVAX has signed an agreement with Pfizer-BioNTech for up to 40 million doses of its vaccine. Additionally, pending WHO emergency use listing, we expect almost 150 million doses of the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine to be available for distribution by COVAX in the first quarter of this year. Together, these announcements mean COVAX could begin delivering doses in February, provided we can finalize a supply agreement for the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine and emergency use listing for the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine. COVAX is on track to deliver 2 billion doses by the end of this year.
Meanwhile, the World Health Organization says it's too early to draw any conclusions about the origins of the coronavirus. The WHO Emergencies Director, Michael Ryan, told reporters on Friday that, quote, all hypotheses are on the table. Experts from the organization arrived in the Chinese city of Wuhan on January the 14th to trace the origins of the virus. They're now completing a 2-week quarantine. There have been recent reports suggesting that cases may have gone unnoticed long before the pandemic broke out in Wuhan. Let's now turn to Morocco, which has received 2 million doses of AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine. The country received the shipment on Friday. It is rolling out a nationwide free immunization program. The campaign is set to start next week. Health workers, public authorities, teachers and the elderly will receive priority. Around 3,000 vaccine locations have been set up. In total, Morocco has ordered 66 million doses of various COVID-19 vaccines. Meanwhile, Nigeria's president has approved the release of nearly $15 million for oxygen production plants. In a statement, President Muhammadu Buhari said that the move is necessary as the country faces a surge in COVID-19 cases. CGTN's Deji Badmus now reports.
The decision to build the oxygen production plants follows complaints from the country's presidential task force on COVID-19 that the number of patients in isolation centers requiring treatment with oxygen is growing rapidly as the country records a spike in infection rates. COVID-19 related deaths in Nigeria, which currently stand at over 1,400, have also been on the rise, and this has been attributed to inadequate oxygen supplies at isolation centers. Now, earlier in Lagos, which is the epicenter of the outbreak, the governor of the state said demand for oxygen at one of its main treatment centers has gone up from 70 cylinders per day to 360 daily. Now, this is expected to more than double by the end of January.
The state government has decentralized the availability of oxygen across the state through the provision of 10 oxygen and sampling kiosks. This oxygen therapy and other related services will be provided to patients that require them.
The state government has since commissioned an oxygen production plant in the city, with 2 more expected in the coming days. So the one that will be set up here by federal authorities will complement those built by the state government. Deji Badmus, CGTN, Lagos, Nigeria.
The Chinese capital, Beijing, has started antibody tests on all overseas travelers who've arrived there since December the 10th. Our reporter Feng Yilei has more.
Antibody tests, as experts told us, could help find those who contracted the virus as early as about 2 months ago. And as I said, Beijing is targeting overseas arrivals because the source of the virus is very likely to come from overseas. So experts added that the test may expand to other groups if needed. And besides, Beijing has also begun to take anal swabs while testing key populations in the city to reduce the so-called false negatives in the COVID-19 testing. And the Chinese capital city will also strictly implement a new policy for all inbound travelers. That is about 14 days plus 2 weeks of quarantine and health monitoring. And this will also, they will also investigate the possible risks posed by all inbound travelers as well as imported products to reduce the risks.
The bodies of 4 Ivorian soldiers killed in Mali have been repatriated to Côte d'Ivoire. The soldiers were part of the UN's peacekeeping mission in Mali. They were killed in an ambush in the country's northern Timbuktu region. The bodies of the fallen soldiers were handed over to their families, and a tribute ceremony is scheduled in Côte d'Ivoire on Monday.
La nation tout entière.
On the 25th of January, the entire nation will pay a well-deserved tribute to our heroes. It will be an opportunity to pay homage to all the families that have suffered, as well as to express our honor and pride that we feel towards our brothers, your husbands, your parents, who made the greatest sacrifice.
The
death of the 4 peacekeepers we are honoring today is a huge loss for MINUSMA, for the United Nations and for Côte d'Ivoire. While not losing sight of the ultimate cause we are working towards, we pay tribute today to these peacekeepers.
Well, let's head back to the Democratic Republic of Congo. The head of the UN peacekeeping mission there has urged leaders to work closely with the public and neighboring countries to end conflicts in the east of the country. Leila Zerugi made the appeal during a press conference where she marked the end of her 3-year tour of duty.
UN peacekeepers conduct routine patrols in North Kivu province in eastern DRC. This area has a multitude of armed groups fighting over land, power and the control of mineral resources. The peacekeepers have been here since 1999. Their mandate is to protect civilians, but rebel attacks have left millions dead over the past 2 decades. The outgoing head of the UN peacekeeping mission, Leila Zerogi, has called for joint efforts to end the fighting.
It's very important that we work all together on this. Congolese and neighbor and the world helping the stability, first inside Congo, within the population, between the institution, between the Congolese and their government.
Ms. Zerogi has ended her 3-year tour of duty and will be succeeded by Bintou Keita from Guinea. Some Congolese officials feel the UN troops haven't lived up to their expectations.
MONUSCO has not been able to fulfill its mandate of protecting civilians in the DRC. Now that Madame Leila is leaving, I would like her to know that she has left an unresolved problem. There is no peace. She might even hear a report of more killings in Beni while she's on the plane back to her country.
Attacks against civilians intensified in October 2019 after the government launched an offensive against armed groups. Some security experts say previous attempts by the government to restore peace by granting amnesty to rebels haven't helped much.
Millions and millions of dollars have been spent by the government and development partners to try and end the conflict in the east, but nothing has changed. It's very sad. We need to come up with a solid mechanism to stop the violence.
Calls for the UN peacekeepers to leave the DRC have been growing in the eastern territory of Beni, following an increase of deaths of civilians. But last December, the UN Security Council extended the force's mandate for 1 year. The head of the UN peacekeeping mission is leaving the country at a time when attacks against civilians have increased significantly in the east and northeastern parts of the country. More than 1,000 people are reported to have been killed by armed groups since 2019. Security experts say the illegal exploitation of mineral and forest resources has fueled the conflict in the DRC. Chris Sochamringa, CGTN, Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo.
You're watching Africa Live on CGTN. It's time for us to take a short break, but don't go anywhere. Here's what's coming up. Where snakes massage clients, we bring you this unique story of one Egyptian spa.
How will your world change today? What happens here? What happens there? Or what you make happen for yourself? If it matters to you, it matters to us too. Your stories are the stories that need to be told. Africa Live. Find your voice.
Welcome back. You're watching Africa Live. Now let's take you to Cairo, Egypt, where a combination of snakes are used to give customers relief from pain. Watching a live snake can be scary for several people, but here pythons lie on one's back to comfort them from body pain. Yasser Hakim met with the spa owner who is the creator of this unique massage.
From the outside, it's a normal spa called Chill Out. Even as you walk in, it's a simple wellness center.
This is not just an ordinary massage parlor. This is something unique, the first of its kind in Egypt. It's still new, but it's gaining momentum and popularity in the country.
The massage room has an extra inhabitant. These pythons are elements of the latest massage therapy in the country, introduced by spa owner Safwat Sidqi. There are 29 non-venomous snakes in Egypt. He uses 2 types in each session. He begins with the small Abu Suwair ones.
First of all, we spread oil to heat the body because these snakes live in heat and high temperatures. Like you can see, the snake is different from the hand massage. Our hand movements are steady, but the snake's movements are haphazard, they're zigzag, circular, there is no pattern. Every area where the snake moves boosts the blood circulation in the body.
The Abu Swair snake is ticklish and light on the body, much different than the second type to follow. The really scary one, larger and heavier. It doesn't have muscles, so it squeezes on the body and the forehead to give a relaxing feeling, reduces pain and muscle tightness. And the client agrees.
Honestly, at first it was very scary, hard to describe, feeling them moving on my body, but then you get used to it. It's so relaxing and safe. Actually, nothing to be afraid of. As the session goes on, the movement of the snakes relaxes the body and your mind feels a connection to the snakes. Your mind flows with their movements around the body. A nice feeling.
This unorthodox session lasts between 20 to 40 minutes upon the client's request.
There are physical and psychological benefits to snake massages. Physically, it stimulates the blood flow and also stimulates cerebral circulation. Psychologically, it kills fear and tension, and it also boosts hormones related to relaxation and happiness, and these in turn strengthen the immune system. And it also boosts self-confidence, especially for those who are scared of snakes.
Though Sidki started the snake massage at the beginning of 2021, he believes it will take off.
We first targeted our regular clients. We showed them photos of the sessions, its benefits and how safe it is. Most of them were interested and joined in. It spread through word of mouth, and then social media increased the momentum. I can see it gaining popularity. Our dream started 5 years ago to spread the culture of massage in Egypt and help people embrace it. We also reached out to foreigners who travel to places like China, Indonesia and Thailand for the strange and unfamiliar massages we hear about. We wanted to show them we have the same here in Egypt, so they can come here too.
The snake massage is not the last one. Sidki says he plans new massages promising to be as eccentric as the pythons. Yasser Hakim for CGTN, Cairo.
Staying in the country, following in the footsteps of some capitals in major cities, Egypt is building its own observation wheel. With a height of 120 meters, the Cairo Eye is said to be the highest wheel in Africa. It will be built in the center of Cairo, overlooking the Nile River and other monuments in the Egyptian capital. Here is Adel Mahroui with more details.
Egypt has laid the foundation stone for its newest touristic attraction, the Cairo Eye. It's going to be an observation wheel which will give its visitors a panoramic view of the Egyptian capital's landmark buildings and landscape. Advisors of the Egyptian president, the country's tourism minister and Cairo's governor were present during the launch of the project, which is a collaboration between the government and the private sector.
This is one of the national projects that the state supports to meet its touristic development strategy. This will complement other tourism projects that Egypt is working on around the capital, among them the Nile Walkway, the Museum of Civilization and the Grand Egyptian Museum, while developing many more touristic districts and sites.
With an announced budget of $32 million, the Cairo Eye will be 120 meters high, making it the highest wheel in Africa. It is being built on the edge of the Nile River's Zamalek Island, over the iconic obelisk garden. To preserve the botanical area, the project developer says all commercial aspects of the project will be suspended.
We are using steel structures to lift our restaurants above the ground level, like floating islands over this green area. That will even enable us to expand the green area in this garden. All the perennial and palm trees here will be preserved and included as part of the project.
The company developing the Cairo Eye is negotiating with Chinese companies to assist in building this newest attraction.
الصين بقت رائدة في مجالات كتيرة جدا.
China is leading in so many fields. It's why we are technically cooperating with the Chinese companies to get the know-how in the installation of the eye and manufacturing some parts of it. We are still in the negotiations phase, but we are very willing to make this deal with the Chinese side.
يعني قطعة راقية جدا من مصر.
The project is set to be completed by 2022. The journey to the Cairo Eye is planned to be an entertaining ride through touristic buses and ferries along the Nile.
The project will build a new iconic structure in Cairo and promises an increase in touristic revenues. Cairo will be one of the few cities in the world with such an eye. Adel Mahroui, CGTN, Cairo.
Now, the Tokyo Wearable Expo just held in Japan has showcased some impressive technology. But with half of the country under a state of emergency, it had fewer exhibitors than usual, with a focus on life amid the pandemic. Our correspondent Mayu Yoshida reports.
I'm here at the 7th Annual Tokyo Wearable Expo, where all the latest in wearable technology is gathered here. Of course, this year focus is on the coronavirus pandemic. For those of you who are not familiar with what wearable technology is, let me give you an example. This shirt is installed with 10 sensors, and it was originally used to collect biometric data for sports. Its developers say they've adapted the technology to track COVID-19 patients in quarantine hotels. This app receives information from a heat detection sensor. It can check if people are wearing a mask, measure body temperatures, and track the movement of people to reduce crowding. It can also check if customers have stopped by the hand sanitizer station and for how long. It was originally developed 5 years ago by a joint venture between Japan's Hitachi and South Korea's LG Electronics. This year's event has been scaled down because of the pandemic. Exhibitors have shown up despite Tokyo under the state of emergency.
The pandemic initially hit our business and we were all told to work from home, but the core of our technology is tracking human movements with no contact, so we figured this could be adapted into new needs during the pandemic.
The number of exhibitors have dropped more than 80% from last year, so we're seeing fewer visitors, fewer exhibitors, and less interaction between them. Also, as part of coronavirus measures, all visitors are required to wear masks. But companies that have shown up to this exhibition say that they want to use their technology to create a safer environment. Mahia Yoshida, CGTN, Tokyo.
Well, let's check in on what's coming up in the sports. IOC President Thomas Bach insists the delayed Tokyo 2020 Games will run as scheduled despite pandemic fears.
Africa Live. Find your voice.
Let's start with football. Holders Arsenal bowed out of the FA Cup in the fourth round in disappointing fashion as Gabriel's first half own goal condemned them to a 1-0 defeat at Southampton on Saturday. The Gunners' defence of the trophy they won by beating Chelsea last August ended with something of a whimper as Mikel Arteta's side struggled with sloppy defending. Southampton deservedly took the lead in the 24th minute when Kyle Walker-Peters drilled a low cross into the area and Gabriel inadvertently touched it past his own goalkeeper. The visitors did apply some second-half pressure, but Southampton were comfortable as they held on to set up a fifth-round clash with Wolverhampton Wanderers. It was Southampton's first FA Cup win over Arsenal and the first time they've beaten cup holders since 1902. Turning to the delayed Tokyo 2020 Summer Olympics, IOC President Thomas Bach insists the event will be held as scheduled, with the top priority being the safety and scheduling of participating athletes. The opening ceremony is scheduled for the 23rd of July, but questions have been raised, with Japan currently going through severe restrictions amid its third COVID-19 wave.
6 months ahead of the Games, the entire Olympic movement is looking forward to the opening ceremony on 23rd of July. I had the opportunity today to speak there with all the 206 National Olympic Committees of the world, and they are all fully committed. They are looking forward to these games. We are enjoying the full support of the Japanese government. And we had another consultation with all the IOC members yesterday. Everybody is really determined to make these Olympic Games in 6 months from now the light at the end of the tunnel, in which at this moment we are all still in. But all the prospects are good. We are working hard, and these games, the first priority will be about to make them safe and secure for all participants. We are working to prepare for all the potential scenarios we may face in July, August this year. And this is a wide range.
Meanwhile, World Athletics President Sebastian Coe said the world of sport is determined to deliver the Tokyo Olympics with COVID-19 vaccines and ability of athletes to train, making the current situation better than when the games were postponed last year. Coe conceded the event might have fewer spectators or even none at all.
So the vaccine is important, but there will still be protocols in place. If the games have to take place without crowds, or certainly with fewer people in the stadium, I think the athletes, I think the world of sport accepts that now. I think, do bear in mind that the vast majority of people watching a games are not watching in the stadium. They are watching at home. They are following on any number of platforms. And I think the games can maintain its spirit. And I hope it does, because I do genuinely think that it's a really important part of returning to some level of normalcy with an optimistic global outlook.
Finally, in mixed martial arts, UFC 257 is on tonight, headlined by the return of Irish superstar Conor McGregor to face Dustin Poirier. McGregor tipped the scales in Abu Dhabi at 155 pounds for his matchup with Poirier, while Dan Hooker and Michael Chandler in the main co-event also made the lightweight limit. There is no title up for grabs, but the victors of these bouts will likely contest for the belt in their next match, provided retired title holder Khabib Nurmagomedov does not return. UFC President Dana White has made no secret of the fact that he would like to see Nurmagomedov, who retired undefeated after beating Justin Gaethje last October, come back for a lucrative rematch with McGregor. And that's it for this edition of Africa Live. Do remember you can send your feedback to the contacts on your screen and follow us on our digital media platforms. I'm Mahia Mutua. Thanks for watching.